Hi everyone. Now let us discuss about the remaining topic which we have seen in the previous video, that is a part 1 of the structural organization in animal tissues. So in the first part we have completed the type of the epithelium, their location. Okay, so let us see about the first epithelium, that was actually the simple epithelium tissues. In the simple epithelium we have studied about the basic terms like where it is actually present, what would be the shape. Now let us discuss about the one term, that is the shape with the help of this particular diagram. Then we will move to the compound epithelium and then we will start the connective tissues. Okay, so here the type of the epithelium tissues which we have seen on the basis of the structure. Okay, so simple epithelium means that is a single layer. Okay, it is actually the single layer. So single layer, and squamous means oval shape. Okay, then the simple cuboidal means the cube shape would be there, and simple columnar means long, tall and cylindrical. Okay, tall and cylindrical, it would be tall and cylindrical in the shape. Okay, tall and cylindrical in the shape. And one more thing, it is having the nucleus at the base. Okay, having the nucleus at base of this type of the cylindrical shape. Okay, so that is important feature, because might be you can get the question on the basis of this type of the point, that what type of the nucleus would be available in the simple epithelium columnar shape. So in the simple epithelium columnar shape, there would be the nucleus at the base, and the shape of the cell would be the tall and the cylindrical. Next, stratified squamous. Stratified means more than one layer would be there first of all, and the squamous again it would be the oval shape. Okay, then stratified columnar means column shape but more than one layer. Here the single layer, here may be the two or more than one layer, so we will call it simply as a multi-layer. So that is why stratified. Okay, here the pseudo stratified, which is again column shape. The shape would be same but the layer would be more than one, so that is why stratified squamous, maybe stratified columnar, maybe stratified cuboidal. Okay, so this is not actually the columnar, this would be the cuboidal shape. Okay, so this is not correct one given here, so we'll go with this one. Okay, and now the transitional epithelium. The transitional epithelium would be actually the part of the compound epithelium. Now let us see about the compound epithelium. Okay, yesterday we have seen already about the all type of the tissues in the simple epithelium. Let us discuss simply in one shot. Like in the simple epithelium we have seen the simple squamous, we have seen the cuboidal. Okay, simple cuboidal, we have seen the columnar, then we noticed about the ciliated, sorry, it would be ciliated, simple columnar ciliated, or maybe the cuboidal ciliated. Okay, it may be the columnar or it may be the simple ciliated. Okay, okay, yesterday also we have seen the same point here, and maybe the pseudo stratified, or maybe the last one, that was the glandular epithelium. Yesterday we have seen all these, but a little bit simply understanding. Okay, Achha, one more thing we have seen in the glandular epithelium, that in the glandular epithelium we have seen two type of the tissues again. That two type means maybe based upon the function or maybe on the basis of the structure. Glandular epithelium may be the two type, maybe based upon the structure, maybe based upon the function. Okay, so based upon the structure it would be more than one cell, or maybe based on the structure more than one cell, or maybe the single cell. So based on structure, and based on function. Okay, based on function. So on the basis of the structure, glandular epithelium would be two type. that is a unicellular and the multicellular. And based upon the function, glandular epithelium may be the exocrine gland or maybe the endocrine gland, and maybe the heterocrine. Heterocrine means having both exo and endo function. Okay, so that would be the heterocrine. Okay, so that is what we have seen into the glandular epithelium. Okay, so now let us discuss about the next term, that is a compound epithelium. Okay, so we will complete the topic about the simple epithelium. Second is actually the compound epithelium. Compound epithelium is again more than one layer. Simple epithelium we have seen all the types, but in the compound epithelium there would be more than one layer. Okay, it would be having more than one layer. More than one layer would be there, and again it is deepest layer. It is available at the deepest layer of the, it is the deepest layer of the cell, and it would be D. Okay, it would be D, and rest upon, it is resting upon basement membrane. Resting upon basement membrane. Now let us discuss about the basement membrane also, but first we will complete the simple epithelium, then we will, before shifting to the connective tissues, we will study about the basement membrane. Okay, so here the function of the compound epithelium also we should know. Compound epithelium, it is giving the protection. Okay, its function is to give the protection and support. Protection and support. Acha, protection for what? Protection against the mechanical, chemical, thermal and the osmotic. Okay, osmotic stresses. Okay, so these all stresses would be overcome with the help of the compound epithelium, because it is having more than one layer. Multi-layer means, so that is why it would be the compound epithelium, which is giving the relaxation on the basis of these few stresses. Okay, so now let us see about the type of the epithelium. Compound epithelium, that is the two type. Okay, so one is the stratified epithelium. Stratified epithelium, and another would be the transitional epithelium. Okay, so transitional epithelium would be actually the stretchable, and the stratified epithelium, it is again, it is the deepest, in the deepest layer, and it may be the cuboidal or may be the columnar. Specifically it would be the column shape. It would be the column shapes of columnar epithelium. Okay, where it is present, location would be the salivary and pancreatic duct. Salivary and pancreatic duct. That is the location, which is again very important term, from which you will get the questions. Okay, next is the transitional, stratified epithelium. We have seen maybe columnar or maybe the cuboidal. It is depending upon the type of the epithelium where we are studying, what type of the location would be there. Okay, so that is what the columnar epithelium. Columnar or the cuboidal epithelium. It is depending upon the location where it is actually present. Okay, now let us see that stratified epithelium, again subdivided into the two more category, may be the stratified keratinized, or maybe the stratified non-keratinized. So stratified keratinized, in the sense the keratin layer is actually waterproof, means it will not allow the water to enter. If it is available on the surface of any other cell, so it will not allow the water to cross this membrane. So that is why it will be making the surface dry. Okay, it will be making the surface dry. For example, our skin, that is our skin or maybe the hair. Okay, skin or the hair, if the water will come, so after some time it would be dry, right? This would be the example. And if we will see about the non-keratinized, means if the keratin is not present, so definitely it would be the wet surface. If it is a wet surface, so that means where it could be present, it would be actually helping in the absorption of the water. There would be no water, we can say there would be like non-keratinized means it will not able to prevent the water loss. So simply we can write cannot prevent water loss. Okay, water can cross from this layer, so water will be actually absorbing by this layer. Okay, it is giving the protection against the aberration. Simply we can say against the aberration. Okay, so where it would be present, it would be actually present at the moist surface of wherever the water would be available. So this type of epithelium would be there. It would be moist surface of buccal cavity, pharynx, and esophagus I am writing. Okay, it is not like that whatever I have written only in this place it could be available, but it can be available in other parts also. Okay, so that is about the stratified epithelium. Compound stratified epithelium, may be the compound stratified keratinized epithelium, may be the compound stratified non-keratinized epithelium. Now let us see about the next term, which is transitional epithelium. Transitional epithelium, again it is more than one layer, and second thing, it would be actually thin and stretchable in comparison to the stratified. Thin and stretchable. Okay, it would be thin and stretchable, and we can say simply it is again giving the protection to the other layers. Where it would be present, it would be present at the simple, that is because I have written already the stretchable, so you can imagine that at the urinary bladder and ureters. Okay, so that is actually the locations. So urinary bladder and the ureters would be the location where the compound transitional epithelium would be present, right? So I hope this compound epithelium would be clear to you now. Now let us see about the next one, that is the junction. Next topic is the junction. What type of the junction would be available? So for example, if we are having the two cell, right? If we are having the two cell, suppose this is the cell 1, okay, and here is the cell 2. So these two cells would be definitely in the contact with each other. So to make the contact between each other, there would be a tunnel like structure, means there would be a communication gap in between these two. So the molecule from the cell 1 will be able to cross this tunnel and can enter into the another cell. So that type of the junction, we will call it as the gap junction. What we will call it? We will call it as gap junction. Why? Because it is having a tunnel like structure between the two cells. Okay, it is more probably present into the cardiac muscles, because in the cardiac muscle, stimulus has to be moved from the one cell to the another cell, and completely it has to give the systole and the diastole. So for that there should be the gap junction, so easily stimulus can move from one cell to the another cell, right? Now let's see the next one. Next one would be the, for example, there would be the two cell, and in between these two cells there is no gap, but even these cells are completely stitched, just like the two cloths we are keeping over each other and then stitching them with the stitching machine. Okay, so there is no gap, so the molecule cannot cross from one side to the another side of this cell, and even from one cell to the another cell also there is no crossing, there is no junction between these cells. So that is actually the part where we can see there is no communication, there would be completely there would be actually leak proof. Okay, so this type of the junction would be known as the tight junction. It would be the tight junction. It is a tight junction. Why tight junction? Because there is no communication between these two cells, and even these two cells are completely attached with each other. In between these two cells there would be no transformation of the molecule from one cell to the another cell. Okay, now next one would be, next type of the epithelium tissues, or the next type of the junction would be, we are having the two cell, and we knows very well that we are having the fibrous fibers into one cell to the another cell. So one cell is having the connection with the another cell with the help of the fibers also. These are the fibers. Okay, so these fibers will help the transformation of the molecule from one cell. Via the fibers it will enter into the another cell. So that is actually known as the desmosomes. Okay, these are actually the desmosomes. So these desmosomes are actually known as the adherent junction. This type of the junction is actually known as the adherent junction. Okay, so adherent junction would be actually having the fibrous connection from one cell to the another cell, and because of that fibrous connection, this cell would be having the communication from one cell to the another cell, and simply it will be transferring the material from one side to the another side. So simply we can say the adherent junction will help the transformation of the molecule from the one cell to the another cell via the fibers. Okay, so these fibers would be helping each other to transform the molecule from one cell to the another cell. Okay, so this type of the junction is known as the adherent junction, and also we are calling it as a desmosomes, right? So this type of the junction in which there is no communication, that is the tight junction, and where there is actually the gap in between the two cells, so that is actually transporting the molecule with the help of that gap, a smaller molecule or the bigger molecule, both can transform from one cell to the another cell. That would be the gap junction, right? So that type of the junction would be the gap junction. Okay, so these are the three type of the junction. In the gap junction we will see more probably into the cardiac muscle, and tight junction where there is no communication. For example, there would be no contraction and relaxation into the nails, into the hairs. There would be the tight junction into the muscles, into the like intestinal cells. Okay, into the intestinal cells or gallbladder, there would be communication between the cells with the help of the fibers. So that would be the adherent junction. Okay, so that these are the three type of the junction which will actually present here. Now the next term is the connective tissues. Before starting the connective tissues, I will try to show you that in the connective tissues, we will see with the help of a flow chart of the connective tissues. Okay, but before that I want to show you one basic term to make you comfortable for the connective tissue, that what would be the white fibers and the elastic fibers and the collagen fibers, which is already given here, yellow and the white fibers and all. Okay, so first of all you should listen that the connective tissue is actually present structural simple tissues. It is having the connection from one cell, from the one layer to the another layer. So simply you can say, if suppose it is I am having this epithelial tissues. So epithelial tissues may be single layer or maybe more than one layer, so multi-layer. So these tissue will be having a connection with another type of the tissue, that would be the connective tissues. Again, connective tissue maybe it is having more than one layer, but these tissue is actually present, or in between these two there would be a membrane which is acellular or avascular, simply we can call it. That is actually known as basement membrane. So I am showing you a thicker one to make you understand that there would be two layers of this particular membrane. Okay, upper one which is facing towards the epithelium, and lower layer which is facing towards the compound, towards the lower layer which is the connective tissues. This side and the upper side which is towards the epithelial tissues. So the layer basement membrane itself is having the two faces. Okay, basement membrane is actually the two layers in itself. For example, if we are having our hand, so our hand is also having the two parts, upper and the lower part, means dorsal and the ventral. Same thing, it is also having the two parts, that is the upper and the lower, and that upper and the lower we will give the name as in the form of the face of the basement membrane, which is the layer basement membrane, the face which is facing towards the epithelial tissues, epithelial side, that is the upper thin layer. Okay, this is the upper thin layer. Okay, and the lower one which is facing towards the connective tissues, and this connective tissues is actually the lower one. This is the lower thick layer. It would be the lower thick layer. So we should know that for what it is made up of. So upper thin layer, it is actually known as the basal, it is actually known as the basal lamella. Okay, it would be the basal lamella. Basal lamina, and it is made up of glycoproteins. Made up of glycoproteins and the mucopeptides. Mucopolysaccharide, not mucopeptide. Okay, mucopolysaccharide. Okay, and the next layer which I told you, that is the lower layer, and it is actually the lower thick layer in comparison to the upper layer. So lower thick layer is also known as the reticular lamella. It is a reticular lamella which is made up of reticulate fibers. Okay, it is reticulate fibers, made up of the reticulate fibers, as well as some of the collagen fibers. Okay, so these are actually the reticulate and the collagen fibers which is in the lower part, and the upper, which is the basal lamella. That basal lamella is the upper part of the basement membrane which is facing towards the epithelial tissues, and the reticulate layer, which is actually the thick layer in comparison to the upper layer, which is facing towards the connective tissues. Okay, so that is made up of the reticulate fiber. These two only you have to remember. And second thing, this is actually the avascular, or simply you can say it is a acellular or the non-cellular layer. Okay, this is very important feature for the basement membrane. Okay, more than this is not needed for our NEET syllabus. Okay, so one more thing, in the epithelial tissues. Okay, here itself I will write, in the epithelial tissue there is blood supply is absent, or simply you can say there would be no blood supply into the epithelial tissues. No blood supply or the blood vessel. Simply I will write no blood vessel. Okay, no blood vessels, where it is not present into the epithelial tissues. Okay, but it is actually present into the connective tissues. Okay, so connective tissues is having the blood vessels, but epithelial tissues are not having the blood vessel. Okay, so I hope it would be clear to you now. Now let us start with the next topic, that is next tissues, that is the second one, the connective tissues, which is making the connection between the epithelium and the muscular tissue, because after the connective tissues there would be the another layer of the tissues, that is the third layer, which is muscular. Okay, in the muscular tissues we will find the three type of the tissues, that is the smooth muscles, skeletal muscles, and the cardiac muscles. So this simply I am showing with the help of these boxes, that is actually the trying to show you about the next layer, that is a muscular layer. It is not having the boxes like or cuboidal shape, but it would be the fibrous. Okay, there would be the fibrous layer. So we will see into the next one, but before that we should know that what type of the layers we have to study. Okay, first we have seen the epithelial tissues, second we have seen the connective, and third we will see the muscular tissues. So first is the epithelial tissues, second would be the connective tissue, and third would be the muscular tissue. In between the epithelium and the connective tissue there would be a basement membrane, and in the connective tissue is named as because it is making a connection between the epithelium and the muscular tissue, so that is why it is named as a connective tissue. So now we are going to start the connective tissues, but up to here I hope it would be clear. So let's see the next part, part 3 in the connective tissues. Okay, thank you.